Perfect timing. Uh,
But there we go. Got it. You muted me there for a second. Welcome back to another HVAC Success Secret Revealed.
well, I did not touch you at all.
Well, it muted me for some reason. Where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. I already enjoyed some of my beer, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this back up so that we're good to go for the show.
Cheers. I'm drinking the H2O today because if anybody can tell by the sound of my voice, I apologize for having you to listen to my hoarseness, but dealing with a voice that is like I'm 13 again.
I'll try and do more talking today. How's that?
That works for me.
All right, perfect. Well, today we thought we'd do a little bit of a recaps from some of our previous episodes so far this year, just over halfway through the year, and we've had some phenomenal guests on the show, and we really wanted to come with you with some recap tips from some of those episodes that can really help drive results this summer and beyond, so that you can become not just a weather-dependent business, but a weather-assisted business. So excited to dive into some of that today. And we've certainly picked out some of our favorite tips from some of the recent episodes.
It's going to be fun. It's almost like kicking it OG style because back when we started this, it was just you and I with no guests. And we haven't had that happen very often. But, sometimes we just want to purposefully choose not to have any guests to be able to recap some of the things to be able to help you in your business and where you're at.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without our sponsors in no particular order: Profit Rocket, Real-Time 360, CHIIRP, and On Purpose Media. Let's go ahead and start with CHIIRP today. And when you look at CHIIRP, I mean, they're the ultimate automation toolbox for home service companies. Really help you capture more leads, connect faster, and close more deals via a variety of different ways. I mean, automated text messages, emails, ringless voicemails, even direct email, and rehash program is also super important there. List goes on and on. You can get 25% off your first 3 months by just go ahead and clicking this link, chirp.com/HSSR. It's also 25% off your onboarding too, by the buys.
Love it. And next we've got Real-Time 360. Are you tired of juggling multiple marketing tools and agencies owning all of your logins? Say goodbye to the frustration. Take control of your marketing with Real-Time 360. Streamline your reviews, automate your social media posts, engage customers with live chat, and track your success all in all in one place. Join the revolution. Power your success with Real-Time 360. You can go ahead and check them out at realtime360.io. That's a little late there on the banner. There it is. Perfect. Realtime360.io. Truthfully, I really love the aspect that you take back control of your own shit when it comes to your logins, when it comes to all of your informations, your rankings. It tracks it regardless of what marketing company you're working with. You own all your stuff and you keep it all in one place. And of course, we want to make sure that you're maximizing all those efforts. So we have Profit Rocket as well. If you are a business owner in the trades and you are starting to grow your company, not only looking to grow top line revenue, but bottom line profits, you got to go check out the blueprint, the Profit Rocket blueprint. It is live. It's been live for a year now. The amount of success stories that have poured in is just unbelievable. Even some of the success stories from the summit itself, which I really loved. I saw this week, Victor put out his post advertising that they are going to be giving away some tickets to the event for contractors that are doing less than $1 million, some of the smaller guys. And one of the comments that came in,
our show sponsored some of those by the buys.
We did. But one of the stories that came in that I really loved was a guy who last year took advantage of that, got the free ticket. This year, no longer qualified for it. I wonder why. You got to go check out the blueprint. Callprofitrocket.com is where the blueprint lives, where you get access to all the P&Ls, all the SLPs for all positions, call scripts, marketing plans, call processes. Everything is all in there. And when you want to learn live one-on-one, or 1 on 2,000, I guess it's going to be at the Profit Rocket Summit in Austin, Texas, this September 27 to 29. It is going to be a phenomenal event. We cannot wait to be there and see everyone live and in person.
Can be good.
It's going to be fantastic.
All right, well, on with the show. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Another reason why we were really excited for this episode today, in particular, with the top 10 tips or top 8 tips I think we've got here, is that a lot of times when it comes to when you're really busy, it's really difficult to take the time to actually learn, grow, develop, and take on new things. And so it's important to always look back and reflect on the things that you already know and the things that you've already heard, and ask yourself, how well are we implementing them right now? So that was something else that I wanted to work into the intro, and I forgot to do it because I didn't write it down, but it was in my head. So there you go.
There you go. 7 tips, by the way. 7 tips.
7 tips.
Yeah, 7. Purposely didn't put a number in the title, just in case we came up with more as we were getting ready and prepped for it. So, and look, you know, we've seen a lot of posts recently with the weather turning around and weather being hot. You know, you're looking at 100-degree days down in the States, and for those in Canada, hot as fuck. Right. So taking advantage of that right now. But what happens when it was slow to the start, or you get a cold spell for a week or two and that demand dries up? You know, what are you going to do in your business to be able to pivot it? And I believe there's some great tips that we're going to talk about here today from past guests that can be able to help augment some of that. And I think the first one really is, you know, we just mentioned talking about, and these, by the way, are in no particular order. They're just random, however they come to mind and however we work it in. But, you know, I think about, I guess, incoming calling, right? So when you are busy, you're like, right now, I've seen a lot of the posts, it's hot, and there's a heat wave going across a lot of places. So instead, if you are busy, and this actually came from episode 138 with Victor Rancour and Chris Badron, when they talked about, I mean, there was a lot of things that we talked about, but one of this key things, and I really liked how they position this, is that when somebody calls in, I think maybe Victor even made a Facebook post on it, and we talked about it in the show. But when you think about that, is when somebody calls in, a lot of times if you're busy, you don't have the opportunity because you know your board's full for the next 3 days. You just turn that person away and you haven't grabbed any information. They've just put their hand up, right? They're like, all right, I'm in. I have a problem. I need somebody to fix it. And you shut them down and didn't grab any of that information. And so flipping that a little bit, when you have that phone call to say, yeah, not a problem, Mrs. Jones, I can definitely help you out with that. Just so I make sure that we don't get disconnected. What's your phone number, right? We tend to email a lot of our appointment reminders out. What's your email address? What's your address? So we can make sure that we're booking you in the right area. And you grab all of this information. When they go in a deeper dive, again, go check it out, 138. But when you go into and grab that information, now you can look in board and say, oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, it looks like we don't have availability until X day. Does that work for you? If they say no, they're going to call another company. Great. They go and call another company. But you've captured their information. And Evan, what do you do with that information?
Well, and then now you've got it. So you can follow up with them in the fall. You can follow up with them in the spring and get out there for a tune-up, right? Hey, Mrs. Jones, you know, this is so-and-so calling from XYZ company. You had reached out to us this past summer for an AC repair, and I was just following up with you to get your spring tune-up, your fall tune-up scheduled. We're going to be in your area this day at this time and this time. Which one works better for you? Right? You don't have to go into detail about the fact that you didn't see them or you weren't able to help them. The reality is that most guys who are running calls right now, they get in, they fix the problem, and then they get on to the next call because they have so many calls to go and run, and they're trying to fit everyone into their schedule. And so they skip out on doing a proper diagnosis and a proper understanding of what the customer's needs are and demands are, right? They don't go through and look at, well, what is your situation in your home? Are certain rooms of the house uncomfortable? Are they too hot, too cold? Do you not have the proper airflow? Do we need to look at ductwork? Do we need to look at dampers? Do we need to look at indoor air quality solutions because your daughter's got asthma, right? If most guys are running calls right now so rapidly that they're not going through the proper checklist. So by you getting that lead into your ecosystem, and then you go out and run the tune-up in the fall or in the spring, and you properly diagnose their problem, you're able to add way more value and show them what a real customer service experience really looks like. And that's how you win the long-term game as a company.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that also goes like you got to train your people, right? You got to invest in them in order to be able to do the proper job and be able to do the proper work. And I know that I went very quick and to grab that information. I'm not a CSR. I think for one point in my life, for like 3 weeks, I answered phones. I was promptly removed from answering phones just because I wasn't the right person to be able to do that. And I know that, right? I recognize that. But when you properly train and invest in your people, I know that lots of I don't even know how many. It's a recurring theme that comes on a lot of the time. But when you look at Steve White specifically, episode 128, and you check that out, he talked a lot about training and investing into your people. A lot of these issues that we're talking about right now can be mitigated in the slow season, right? But when you look at the summer, it's here. You're like, okay, well, how can I train and invest in my people right now? Well, when it's slow, right? When you do get that dip in the weather, when you do have those opportunities to be able to move those longs. And I know that, Evan, you had some thoughts specifically what Steve talked about.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into that, I do want to acknowledge the fact that I'm pretty sure Vic's ears were burning. So shout out to you, brother. We just dropped a tip from you. So appreciate that. And yes, we did donate some tickets and you're very welcome for that. Always happy to help out. That's why we do this show in the first place. We just want to add value to people. So when it came to Steve, I mean, they heavily invested into their business, Peterman Brothers, in regards to training. They look at how can we continue to evolve our people and help them grow and move throughout the company. They looked at, they added in an entirely new process when it came to call by call management that they completely revolutionized their business with. We had Joe Crisera on the show. We had Shrey and Mike on the show, and both of them talked about how are you continuing to evolve and develop your people. Chris and Victor, how are you continually developing your people and investing in your people? So many people talk about this because it is so essential, and it is so often left on the back burner as something that's not important when it's 100 degrees outside, because we just got to run calls. The calls are here. We got to go run them. And if you're not taking the time to pause and invest in your people, even if it's only for 15 minutes, 20 minutes each day before they go out, and remind them of these little things that they need to make sure that they're doing. Yes, it's important to make sure that we're getting out to as many calls as possible. And it's more important to make sure that we leave every customer feeling exceptionally well taken care of when we go and see them.
Great. I was trying to get back into respond back to Victor on Facebook, but it wasn't working but that's really the biggest key, right? Is taking that time, take that 20 minutes, take that 50 minutes, take that 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be these long sit down day long seminars to be able to maximize and really invest in your people. And it doesn't also have to be all technical capabilities either. When was the last time you've ran something on professional development or even some personal development, or having better conversations with the customer, right? Or heck, we ran one for our team last week that was about a book called The Gottmans, The 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work. And you don't have to use marriage, you can use relationships on there. And the team was, oh my God, so thankful for a lot of those components that we brought into that, because it's different than just the technical aspects of things. And there's another one, I know that they weren't on just this past year, but Travis Smith and Heather Barkender, they actually sat down and did a deep dive financial series with all of their people to make them millionaires. That's some next level shit to be able to train your people and work with them. One other thing that's good for training, and this also goes back, we missed it when we talked about Victor and Chris, was outbound dialing when it's slow, right? When do you activate your database? And you can use something like CHIIRP with this by the way, you look at somebody like Cassie Pound added in $80,000 in a month. David added in $40,000 in 2 weeks just by leveraging something like this of an automated system. And obviously when you have rocket bookings, being able to actually dial the databases too, in addition to texting them, is really going to help fill that board up, especially when you have those little dips in the weather where you might not have the demand as well.
Yeah.
The other part of this too, when you think about this, you know what, we're throwing a lot in a short amount of time. We're not really going deep on those. But there's something key that's going to be here is the people that wait to be perfect on this are going to be left behind, right? Perfection is the killer of progress. Done is better than perfect. You've heard me say that numerous times on the show, right? And Peter Roth, episode 140, talked really about perfection is the killer of progress. So Evan, walk us through that. By the way, in case anybody's wondering why I'm pushing it to Evan, I'm trying to save my voice a little bit here today, and he can do the filling in the blanks.
No, I appreciate it. No, I mean, it's really easy. I mean, in the end, it was early on in my sales career that I learned that perfection is actually a form of procrastination. You're continually pushing something off because it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. And at the end of the day, you just got to go run the call. You just got to pick up the phone and make the call. You need to continue to move forward. And if you don't, everything else is going to halt. When we look at the summertime, I mean, if you're worried about running the perfect call every single time, again, that's going to halt you from being able to get in front of as many people as possible. And so there is a blend a little bit. There isn't a black and white way of doing things. It's finding that gray area to be able to get in front of the right people, ask the right questions, move the call forward, serve them in the right way, and then get on to the next call. And I know that kind of contradicts what I said earlier, but at the end of the day, you do still need to get out in front of as many people as possible. It's a blend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, happy blend.
There is no right and wrong. Absolutely.
No, well, they could be right and wrong, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Well, and this kind of leads into the next point, which was from Colleen Keyworth, episode 142, which is don't burn any bridges, right? When we look at the summertime, we're busy. Things get a little hectic. Guys are working overtime. Guys are working in attics where it's 140 degrees. It's unbearable at times. And when you're under a lot of stress like that, it's really easy to let your emotions take over and halt your ability to make some rational thoughts. And when it comes to working with customers, when it comes to working with your staff, it's really important to keep your emotions in check. You never want to burn any bridges. And this was something that Colleen talked about. Don't ever burn any bridges when firing. Because you never know when someone's going to come back and refer someone else to you. You never know when someone's going to come back to you and want to work with you again, right? There's been people that have left our business as customers that have come back within 3 weeks because they immediately had a terrible experience somewhere else and they didn't realize how good they had it. The grass is always greener wherever you water it, right? And so it's really important that you keep your emotions in check when you're under extreme stress.
Yep. And the other part, like, love your people out the door, right? Love your relationships out the door, love everything out the door. And it's actually funny. I was chatting with one of our team members today, just on this entire concept of everything, especially with some changes that we had in our business. But when you take that, one of our clients, he was my client with another company, and then, came over to, our on purpose media, the marketing agency. You're only as good as your last day. Flipping that too, if you're a tech listening to this, right? Not just a business owner, but you're tech aspiring to be a business owner. Okay, well, you're only as good as your last day, right? Why don't you have that progress right up to the day that you're done, the minute that you're done, to leave it as if it was your first day? Because when you have that, now you're not going to burn a bridge,
right?
What if you do need to come back to that employer for whatever reason, and you fucked up when you left? They're like, nope, not having it. But if you left in the right way, they would welcome you back if it was done in the proper terms and you loved your employer out the door, right? So again, two-way street with it.
Absolutely. What was the quote your dad said about your reputation? And
it was not my dad. Actually, it was one of my previous bosses in the passenger elevator industry, Evan. They, you don't even have the focus right to even say anything, or the roadcaster. But he said, at the end of the day, you have two things. You have your last name and your reputation, so you better protect both. And that goes, heck, open up Pandora's box with that comment. It can go anywhere.
No, 100%. Switching gears a little bit. And again, this kind of comes back to being incredibly busy in the summertime. What is it that you're paying attention to? What is it that you're spending your time on? Right? Mike Disney in episode 134, he talked about taking the time every single day to make sure that you plan out what are the 5 most important things that I must get done. Because if you don't take that time, oftentimes you get stuck with what is urgent and what is grabbing your attention and what's in front of you right now. This customer's got a problem. This tech has a problem. And all you're doing all day is putting out fires. And you're not actually taking the time to focus on what is the most important things that are actually going to move your business forward.
I like that. And even taking it from the day of to how about the night before, right? End of your day, doing a debrief and saying, okay, well, did I get all my 5 things done? And looking at what happened in your day and what needs to happen tomorrow. So that way, when you hit your desk first thing in the morning, guess what? You've already got your 5 things. You don't have to think through it. You're not going to get dissuaded by fires the second that you walk into the office because you've already planned it out. So that's another key step to be able to just change that a little bit. So now way you put your focus on you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to speak from experience, I mean, Thaddeus and I have been business partners for, 4 years now. Weekly, we have a meeting called our 411 where we look at what are the 5 things that I need to get done this week. And we look at both personal and professional in order for this to be a great week. And so now I loved what Mike had to say about planning out each day and making sure that you've got your 5 things each day. This is why I don't drink beer on the show. I'm just burping constantly. God. And so now taking that list of 5 that we've got each week, what I've started doing is listing out each day. Well, okay, how am I going to make an impact on these 5 things for the week in order to make sure I'm staying on track each day for those 5 this week? And it's not always the same activities every time, right? So taking that time now, I've got at least 2 of the 5 things planned out every day based on the 5 things that I need to do this week. And those 5 things that I need to do this week are going to keep me on track for the 5 things that I need to do this month, which are also going to keep me on track for the 5 things that need to happen this quarter. And ultimately the 5 things that need to happen this year in order for our business to move forward, right? So it's breaking down those big goals, the 5-year goals, the 10-year goals that you have for yourself into bite-sized chunks so that you can continue to make progress on them every single day and move the business forward.
Agreed. That's why we like the 411. And look, there are going to be times where you're not going to get it done. In that's okay, right? But know that you need to make those a priority for later. So one thing I guess in like this, and what I like about the 411 and how we do it, and what I like about these 5 things is making sure that you also track it too, right? Don't just write them on a piece of loose leaf paper or a pad of paper that, well, I might lose this today and then it's gone. Keep a journal, keep a log of these things so you can actually see. I mean, this is a bit of a different topic, but how far you've come, right?
Right.
The gap and the gain, and I'm not going to go into that topic in detail, but what's performance measured is performance gained. And I think about that when we had Stephanie Fritz, episode 136, Nathan Keller, 133, Zach Garside, 131. We went on a big kick there about CSRs and training and calling, but like tracking your calls, right? Are you staying on top of what you're expecting from your team is another key topic that is an important thing right now in today's summer business.
Absolutely. Well, and this comes back to, as a business owner, are you taking measures into your own hands as to what it is that's important for me to do, right? One of those things on a daily basis that must happen is that you look at your numbers. Do you know where your team is performing and where they are lacking, right? If you are fortunate enough to have a large team where you've got managers that are overseeing some of those departments, then you just get the reports from them, and that makes it even easier for you. And they're the ones that are managing more of the minute details. You're managing more of the macro details, which is fantastic. But for the guys that are smaller, are you making sure that you're on top of, how many leads are we taking in on a daily basis? Are we hitting our lead number? How many of those are actually qualified leads? And are our CSRs marking more of those as disqualified than they should be? Because that's something that happens a lot, especially when you pay off spiffs and things like that and bonuses based on booking percentages. Guess what? They might push the boundaries a little bit on that sometimes. So making sure that you're holding your team accountable to make sure that they're only marking off the ones that are unqualified because they are outside of your service area, or it is a service that you don't offer. It's if it's outside those 2 things, guess what? It was still a qualified lead, and we need to mark it as such. Are we paying attention to what their booking percentage actually is? And then are we paying attention to what the show rate is based off of how many that they are getting booked? That's how we need to manage our CSRs properly. If you want to know what those exact percentages should be, go back and listen to those episodes, because all of them talked about it and it was all fantastic.
It was all great points. So love that. So Evan, my
Yes.
favorite part of the show, random question generator, brought to you by On Purpose Media, your local home service marketing and HVAC digital marketing experts. Of course, if you feel like you're stuck, by the way, it's summertime and you're like, might not have the lead flow even when it's hot. Well, reach out on purposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. Hit that up, abuse it, goes to Evan. He'll give you the deets. We want to lead with value first. There's no obligation behind it. Gives you a straight deets. You can even take that directly to your own marketing company. But Evan,
yes,
question for you: do you want 1, 2, or 3?
3.
3. I went back off the window. What is the oddest form of entertainment that you enjoy?
Reels of kids getting hurt.
Did you see that one I sent you the other day of the kid on the scooter and he's going up to like do the little trick and he goes up and he smashes his head on the roof and it comes falling down and he's just like he's so stunned and then grabs his head as he's on the ground. Those are like those fails when you see them on TV and it's just this endless loop of fails from people.
They are fantastic, but it's even better when it's all children, because you know that they're going to bounce back and they're probably going to be okay. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I laugh so hard. Kids falling off bikes, you're never going to see something funnier than that. It's fucking hilarious. I could watch that shit all day.
Well, when I finally teach my boys to ride bikes, I'll make sure to film it just for you. Because I'm sure they're going to fall. So, all right. Last tip, with all this talk of being busy, with all these talks about all these things that we can and should do within the business, I think one of the things that often gets overlooked are maintenance agreements, and adding those in during the busy time so that we can make up for the slow time down the road. I know Ken Goodrich, episode 124, Josh T. Kell was also on that. And they went deep, and Ken went into his philosophy on maintenance agreements and why they're so powerful.
Yeah. And before we go into that, I just got to say, there was a certain someone that happened to say memberships are dead and maintenance agreements are dead a little while ago. And it was funny.
Ishmael Valdez. Sorry.
Yeah.
My throat, had to cough there.
It was just the other day he posted into his group a screenshot of his dashboard from Service Titan, and in the corner it said he added 110 new memberships this month. And I just looked at it. I was like, I thought they were dead. What are you doing selling those? But here's the thing. At the end of the day, maintenance agreements are the lifeblood of your business, especially in the off season. This is how we own customers. And at the end of the day, you've already paid for the lead. Why are we not trying to maximize that lifetime value of the lead? Right. And that's truly what the membership program is all about for our business. Yes, of course, we are a service-based business. Yes, of course, we are going to take care of this customer in all of the ways that we promise. So I'm not going to tell you that, we only call 10% of our members or 100% or 80% of our members or whatever your number is. Because there are businesses that do that. They treat it more like a gym membership where you have to call us except for the most important ones, and we're going to call you and outbound you. If that's the way you run your business, all the power to you. If you're the business that says, I service my customers twice a year, every year, and we will call you 12 times until you answer and book with us, and we're going to do everything in our power to try and get you on the calendar, even if we just installed your equipment last year, great. All the power to you. At the end of the day, you just need to follow through on what it is that you say you're going to do. Now, when it comes to the maintenance agreements, why this is so important for your business, I'm very curious how many guys are actually tracking what your closing rate is on maintenance agreements on calls. So how you figure this out is you need to make sure that you're tracking how many calls you are taking in that are repair-based, non-member calls. Okay. Once you have that number, how many maintenance agreements did you sell? That is your proper percentage that you should be going after, right? Solid numbers, 40%, 50%. If you are below that, it's looking at how can we increase this? What are the things that we need to be doing? And this comes back to the tip earlier about training. This is a small thing to make sure that you are training your people on throughout the summer. Hey guys, make sure that we're remembering our maintenance agreements. This is incredibly important for our business. We need to make sure that we need to be doing this. Here are the reasons why, making sure that your people understand why it is that you're doing things. The maintenance agreement is the lifeblood of your fall and your spring. It's how you continue to run your business throughout the entire year and not get stuck into the demand generation is the only way that we can actually grow our business.
Right. And an additional thing that somebody can do to impact your close rate. You see one of our sponsors down there, CHIIRP, CHIIRP, little green circle with a little bird. Okay. Here's the thing that they do. They have a direct integration into Service Titan House Call Pro. I believe Sarah now too. Here's what can happen when you have the on the way text messages. Use CHIIRP's platform because they can actually distinguish when you set it up with the direct integrations on whether this customer is a member or not, right? Whether they have this maintenance agreement or they don't. And then on the way text messages, hey, Mrs. Jones, we noticed that you're not part of our maintenance agreement plan or comfort club or whatever you want to call it, right? Put your name in there. Make sure to ask our tech or your tech, Bob, when he's there and how you can save 10% off your repair bill today by joining our member program or a maintenance program or a comfort club. Now it's just this extra little thing because now Mrs. Jones is like, or Mr. Jones is like, I can save 10% off just by joining this program. I'm going to ask the tech. Then when you have the training for your team, now you're double whammying it and you can impact your close rates even better. And of course, if you're like, hey, you know what, CHIIRP's great. CHIIRP.com/HSSR, 25% off your first 3 months. Just give it a try.
I was just reading this comment on here.
There's a lot more, by the way, that CHIIRP can do for your business. I'm just going to go on my CHIIRP rant while Evan reads that comment. But when you think about the impacts of everything that we've talked about, right? When you can add in, and this is where each one of our sponsors says their unique thing, right? Like CHIIRP is great on the front end. Real time is great, like kind of like in the blend of it, also helping agencies, helping you keep accountability to it. And then Profit Rocket's great on the back end. When we look at the front end and how can you capture more data and how can you capture more individuals, it's that capturing leads into your system and getting them into as a client. That's where CHIIRP can really help out.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, I was trying to get onto Facebook so I can see who made this comment, but they were just saying it should be 100% close rate on these.
Bobby Bragg.
Absolutely. Oh, it was Bobby. There we go. Definitely people are choosing your company. At the end of the day, like it is about adding value and making sure that people understand who it is that is coming out to serve them. And if you properly take care of people, it's a lot easier to sell on a maintenance agreement.
Right. And here's one thing I know, Bobby, you mentioned the word contract in here and change the wording from contract to agreement, right? You look at our business. Like, why do you think we don't call it a contract? Well, people are scared of the word contract, right? There's this red flag.
What am I getting locked into?
Like, what am I getting locked into? It's like my damn cell phone contract's 3 years. I can't cancel it. My phone broke after 6 months. Now I'm fucked, right? When you call it an agreement, now it's two parties helping each other out. And it's just that one change of the word goes a long ways.
Massive.
Yes.
Well, we wanted to make sure that we gave a little bonus tip here as well. And this one is specific for in the spirit of what we went through this week here. Victor throwing out the challenge for essentially businesses to step up, sponsor some tickets, be able to help out some of the little guys, right? Smaller companies that maybe aren't always looking to invest in themselves, or it's difficult for them to take the time away and justify the cost to be able to go to an event like that. Like Profit Rocket. So, we stepped up, we donated tickets, and so many other companies did as well. I can't remember what the total number is now that they're up to in terms of tickets that they're giving away for free, but it's phenomenal. But we wanted to give away
like 200.
Yeah. We wanted to give away a little special tip here, especially for the smaller guys, because it's one of those things where when you have more time than money, this is a great way for you to leverage yourself, your time, your business, and also be able to leverage other people as well within your business and make sure that they are doing this, because this is an incredibly important tip for guys that are just trying to generate calls and build trust within the community.
And that's jumping into your local communities Facebook groups. Okay? A lot of local communities have them. And I'm not just talking like the buy sell marketplace stuff. I mean, that's one good place to do it, but finding and doing a little bit more research on, okay, well, which community groups are the most active, right? I think about, there's a mama group that my wife is a part of, and somebody asks a question and there's just a litany of people that give a ton of responses back. But when you have that and you're in these groups, now when somebody asks, well, I'm looking to get my AC fixed or my AC replaced, or, in Canada, my furnace, maintained or my furnace replaced. Now you have the ability to jump in and you can find those posts and comment on your personal profile and tag your business name in there, because now you're building that trust within that community to be able to help out. One other thing, and this is kind of like a bonus tip. And when you're talking about community and building this trust and this isn't, by the way, for every business, it really depends on your size and it really depends on your budget and what you're able to do, but donating and giving time back to some of your local events, right? And either sponsoring an event or volunteering and making sure that you can have some signage and notoriety. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Notoriety? Yeah.
Notoriety?
Sure. One of the three, we're going to be like notoriety behind it. I didn't say that we're always that smart. But we say some good things just sometimes, right? There we go. Imagine if I was drunk and sick. But when you do that, now you've built trust within the marketplace. And then when you have these comments in there, it definitely works a lot better because you're leveraging more time than Evan said, money than you have with money.
Well, and oftentimes those local sponsorships are really, really inexpensive, right? And so especially if there's a group that's been really beneficial for your business, get in touch with the community leagues, go sponsor the event, go sponsor the summer pickleball tournament, and go sponsor the kids soccer team and get your name on the back of the jerseys that they get to keep at the end of the year, right? The little things like that go a long way, especially within communities. People truly do care about that kind of stuff.
Yep, 100%. So, this has been a fun conversation. We're going to try to keep this one short just because it's the two of us, and I'm sure you guys don't want to hear us drown on and on and on, especially with me coughing and Evan drunk. So, Evan, any final thoughts? Actually, no. Hey, Evan, hey, what's one question that you wish people would ask you more but don't? Sucker.
Jackass. Hey, what events are you going to be at?
Hey, Evan, what events are you going to be at?
Well, we are definitely going to be at Profit Rocket. So make sure you're there and come and see us and come see the show. Women in HVAC we will be at that event as well, and make sure that we're podcasting there. And then there's a bunch of other ones that we have on the docket that we are planning on attending and might possibly show up at. We'll see.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good fall. AHR next year too. Chicago. Yep. Definitely be at that one. There's a few that we're kicking the idea around and working on travel schedules, because sometimes traveling from Canada can be a nightmare.
Absolutely.
3 flights to get to one day destination. So, well, pleasure chatting with you, my friend.
3 flights and a dog sled. Don't forget that.
There you go. Right. From the igloo to the airport. So only when you're in Winterpeg. So it's been a pleasure chatting with you, kicking it OG style with just the two of us. I think we got to do this a little bit more, bringing back some of the originality of the essence of our show from when we first started. So appreciate you as always, my friend. And until next time.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, 2 quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.